I'm doing the opening, right?
Yeah,
I'm the
and
intro.
we're
Oh,
live.
we're live, I guess. Well,
All right.
good timing.
Great
Hey,
timing.
everyone. I'm TH Pine, and welcome you very much to the very first episode of the DPL Podcast.
That is
And
the
I'm here
case.
with the wonderful people, Zombie Bacon to my left, I guess, and Donut to my right.
Hello.
Hello. How you guys doing?
I mean, I'm
Living the
doing
dream.
great. Yeah, we're all doing great here.
Living the dream.
Yeah, I'm living the dream. Donut's got his whiteboard.
Dude,
And
yeah,
he's got like he's got the most colorful shirt I've ever seen. Like,
Oh, that's
it's
not the case.
prime shirt.
Prime. All right. I mean, kind of jumping into it. What are we doing here? You know, like,
Yeah, what
let
we're
us
doing
know.
here, that's a very good question. So the DPL podcast is a podcast about DPL, who would have thought? The goal is to, well, have a good place to talk about stats, for example. I guess we're not doing this today, so bad example. But talking about what happened last week in DPL, what will happen next week in DPL, talking about new rules or decisions or news, upcoming stuff, announcements, keeping in touch with the community, and having a good place for something like, as I said, for example, stats discussions or round analysis,
Yeah.
looking at some clips and stuff like that. So that's what's going down.
I will say also some
And-
solid meme review.
Oh,
Meme
of
reviews
course.
will be coming.
If you can get those done, that would be amazing. But
Yeah.
I mean, like,
all the memes.
we know about what the podcast does. What do we do, Zombie? What do you do?
Oh, great. I'm currently the head caster for DPL, which is terrifying and a poor choice on their part. But I'm also I'm a player in the league as well. I play for Gaggle of Idiots, which is a fitting team for me.
Yeah,
I
you're
play
the
over there.
carry for
Love
them,
those
right?
guys.
Of
Oh,
course.
absolutely not. However, in the Rats game, I did for 2 games, so I'll take that. I won the overtime because I dumpstered Shriekle, who had a saber with an AP. So I'll hold that. However, I want to go next to Pion. We know Pion; he does all the streams. But tell us a little more about yourself.
Well, I'm TH Pine. I'm part of the staff team for DPL. Not quite founder, but I'm here from the start pretty much. That's what I do. I do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, coordination and organizational thingies, and I'm obviously also the community manager for due process, if you're not aware of that. But those are two very separate things. I was the DPL staff before I was community manager, so don't confuse these two things. I'm not here as TH Pine, the community manager. I'm here as TH Pine, the DPL staffy. So last but not least, our most recent member on the staff might actually.
I
be
mean,
the
it's
youngest. I
also
don't know.
probably
Are
the
you
youngest too. I think I am. You know, fucking oldies.
Mr.Doughnut
Hey,
himself.
what's up? I was brought on because I decided to put myself in a lot of pain by watching all the old VODs and doing stats on them. And they were like, "That's a good idea. Let's get him on." And so I came on, and I deal with stats. I also kind of fill in the roles. If DPL needs someone to do extra work or to be free, I will be there.
That's a translation. Does literally everything.
That is not the case. That's not the case. I don't do that.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, no one cares about that, Donna. Everyone wants to know what the hell is the whiteboard for and what is on it.
Oh, the whiteboard. Yes.
I wanted to ask.
Okay,
What's that? Is that
so-
Teams? No,
Yeah,
that
no,
looks
so
like Teams.
okay, the whiteboard. I bought this for like $200, and I was like, you know what? This is a good idea.
Wait,
I should
How much?
$200. It can flip. I can like flip it, but it's locked right now. And I don't want
it's
to
a
flip it.
flippable
Is that what cost the extra $100 for a whiteboard?
Yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
big. It's really big too. Like if I makes me stand up, it's very big. But it includes everything. It has all the teams.
Not
It
big,
kind
you're
of has.
just small.
Oh, that's the case. You know. It has all the teams. It has like all the stuff I need to do, and it stares me in the face every single day, reminding me that I have a lot of work to get done. It also includes all the top 10 players and all the players that have 200 games, and so I kind of just use it for all the cool DPL stuff.
2,000.
Yeah, 2,000
I was
games,
about to
not
say
1,000.
200, that would be a lot of players.
There'll be a lot of players. Like every
Be a
single day when I
lot of
log in to do process, I see a new player that has like 400 games that I've never heard of, and I'm like, excuse me, and then they
Yeah,
dumpster me.
speaking of that, it's like I don't know where that came from because there's like I feel like the problem is like I love 10 mans, but at the same time, every time I go into a casual now, and there's someone with like 400 games who doesn't know what's going on, I feel really disappointed. And I feel like that's a community failure because we're not kicking their ass in casuals anymore. They haven't learned the game and its harsh
Oh.
I think it
realities.
helps more to not kick their ass, but to teach them when you're playing with them.
You know,
But
pull
that's
a
just my
pull a
opinion.
revenant. That would
Yeah,
be.
Full of Revenant, yes.
Revenant does the good teaching.
Yeah.
It's the only time I can pop off in a game, so I take advantage of it fully.
Oh my gosh! Whenever
I feel that.
whenever I'm playing casuals, and I don't go up against one of the Yakuza guys who snipes me, I always pull off that prime 2 and 12.
Yeah, Prime 2 and 12.
Prime.
And also, Donut, to be fair, there's kind of a problem with you and playing DPL with you.
What do you mean?
Any kind of like anything with you, because anytime we play against a DPL player,
Yeah.
you talk massive amounts of shit.
That is not
like
the case.
worse,
Wait,
like,
what?
anyone, you kill me and immediately you start DMing me. Oh, you're shit. Get wrecked. Dumpster. Absolute trash. Get out of here. And then you will hop into the voice call in our Discord with us. And like,
Flame.
oh my God, Zombie, you're so bad. You do that to everybody.
That is not true. Anyone but
sounds
like
very
that's,
donut.
that is not the case. Oh
No,
man.
it doesn't.
kind of the case.
So I mean, if we go in like kind of going into it, talking about all the DPL,
Yeah, I was about to say.
we're
like,
kind
let's
of
talk about last week.
moving into it. Yeah, we're kind of moving into and if we move into the last week results, we can kind of see really just what's going on, and let me kind of transition into it. And let's go, because we move into it, and we have the most recent week. We have the most recent games, and we have the leaderboard right
oh my
here.
God. You're telling me Nemesis won their game in 2 games? Wow.
Okay.
And so
This
for,
is my surprise face.
and so let's jump into it, and for people who don't really know a lot about the league, who kind of new to it, can one of you break down what are the teams? Who are the teams? Why is Nemesis always winning? Why is LCG down? Why is going 1 and
you're
3?
the stats guy. You tell us why Nemesis is always winning.
Yeah, well, Nemesis is always winning because I think they have basically the best people in the league on the team, and they practice a bunch.
That's fair, yeah.
I feel like I don't want to talk shit, but I look over at the scorecard on the right, and I just want to point out the absolute sort of yin and yang we're getting, because there must be balance, just like the Force. Nemesis, undefeated. Rise, also undefeated. And then we have LCG. And I think, I believe it was Toxic actually came into the Twitch chat before we started and was asked, can LCG win their games? And I responded, I think LCG can. LCG has the ability to win games. And if they have any games they're going to win, I think are coming up. So hopefully we'll start to see them not looking so lonely on that W column.
Oh, most definitely. And I mean, if we kind of get into it, I think you have players like teams, like Fierce and maybe even Goy that their skill I don't believe represents their wins and losses. I believe that, let's say Fierce. I think if you don't know Fierce as Feral, Digrace, Stars, Marbles, Adaxi/Gravy, and Kaiku, he's a sub, and Red Elixir, and also sub. And all those players are very good. They're very well rounded. But if you look at kind of how they play very differently to Nemesis, to Rise. They play differently to a lot of teams. All these teams have their own style, and it kind of hurts them. They have the players to back it up. Feral is probably like one of the best players in the league. He is insane. If you watch anything, he always goes plus 10. If you play against him in 10 mans, you can't beat him because he teleports behind you and you just die to a KR. So, I mean,
anime moment.
It really is.
Pretty accurate.
And I think Fierce and Goy, to a lesser extent, have the pieces. They haven't put it together yet in the upcoming matches. To a lesser extent. Maybe even to a more extent with Goy. Need to really put it together and bring it up. And I think they can. I think definitely we're going to see kind of momentum moment from kind of like last season, where they were not that good in the start of the season, but really shot up and became a very well contender in the later weeks of the season.
You have to always keep in mind this is a round robin system, so 7 weeks of round robin, everyone facing everyone, and we're in week 4. So some teams have faced the stronger ones, some teams have faced the weaker ones, or the ones that are better matchups for them. So this is not quite representative. Sure, this gives us a first indication, but there's still 3 weeks to play. A lot can happen in these 3 weeks. I mean, it's a given at this point that Nemesis and Rise will be at least fairly far ahead. It's hard to they are like Yakuza and Gnomes have good chances to overtake them, but for the others it's going to be rough, obviously, with 3 more matches to play. But as I said, like there's still like we will not see Nemesis on the last place in LCG winning the season, right? But there's still a lot of space or room to move for these teams, and a lot of things can still happen.
Absolutely. I think also at this point, I think there's 2 very important things to know is that this doesn't matter. Standings at this point only matter for one thing, and that's for getting into finals. And I think I'm not denying that Nemesis is the best team, that Rise are a great team, and that Yakuza are also a great team. But we have to remember that we experienced this actually also in the Season 2 finals, where there was a huge upset when Fierce overtook BTG at the very end there. And there are some reasons for that, but I'll digress. And that the finals is really where everything comes down to the wire, right? And also, I think what's important to know about, because we talked about the team's different play styles, and so the meta as it currently stands is very aggressive. And when I mean aggressive, and who best fits that? Rise, Nemesis, they are the aggressive teams. I think for a long time, particularly coming out of Season 2 after quals, everyone, at least what I was hearing was that, Rise are kind of a mini Nemesis at least in the way that they play. They may lack some of the finer points that Nemesis has, particularly on attack, just with flash placement and things like that. But they are very strong, and you cannot deny that. And I think particularly with the sharpening of the next few weeks that's coming up, Rise is a team undoubtedly to be looking at right now with being undefeated. But I believe actually going into this weekend, they're playing Nemesis, and that is a must-watch game.
They are. And, I mean, that kind of jumps into really just the last week games and the next week games. And if we want to talk about last week games, there really wasn't that many upsets, bar maybe Fierce Rise, but it was pretty standard. You had Yakuza beat Rats pretty cleanly. Ghetto kind of just ripped them in half. Voxel, Macius, probably some of the best additions to any team, like in DP recently. Gnomes beating LCG pretty handedly, and then Goy losing to Nemesis. And as much of the scorecards kind of show, like, how was that? Not, I hate to bring up on losing, but what was the environment?
I will say I feel like game 1 at least the start of it, because we did have to force a restart because someone didn't have the pause button up. But
it went away. The pause button broke. Blame Gek. I was riffing that game.
Yeah. So
blame Donut.
Yeah, I always blame Donut. That's always my fallback, is blame Donut. But I feel like we are, at least on Goy, and I think this is the thing that I can offer as a player right now, is we're starting to find that stride, like really. I think if you look at some of our first game against Nemesis, I don't feel that we were necessarily outclassed. Second game, they bent us over the table and had their way. But first game, I feel, was very definitely something that was good to watch and showed that, hey, we actually can do this. While we didn't win, we didn't take it's 7-4 is a respectable score line, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like that's nothing to be scoffed at. Granted, didn't win. I concede that fully. But I feel like game 1 went really well, and then just game 2, I think, just fell apart. And I think the one other thing I want to talk about is, like, these are best of 3s, and granted, none of these games went to 3 games, but, like, generally by game 3, people are tired. Like that's a long time. That's a long time to be playing.
Yeah, it definitely sometimes comes down to endurance as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's something we saw at the beginning of the season too, when these games were actually drawing out pretty long. It was like, oh no, we don't want this, and now people are starting to hit games out in two. However, before we move on, I want to ask you guys, because as Donut slightly alluded to, Fierce versus Rise was a big upset, actually, in my opinion.
In your opinion? Oh,
huge upset.
Okay.
Not in the fact that we weren't expecting Rise to be that good. In the fact that I was expecting it to go longer.
That's fair.
Because Fierce is a good team. Fierce is a really good team, and just something, particularly the first game, if I remember the scoreline correctly, it was 4-1.
Oh.
In favor of Fierce.
I think it was like 3-1. I could be.
It
was very a fierce matchup early on, and then Rise kind of just did what they did on, I think, the defense side, and they kind of just cleaned him up, you know.
Yeah, and shout out to Flogo really quick. He said, "Adaxi, you're just warming the bench. It's an important job."
Yeah.
And Hyperdrive thrown in 4-2 first game, and then Rise came in and took it decisively. I will add, like, it was not a close thing. Like, Rise was on their A game the entire time of that.
I mean,
match.
if it was 4-2, both games apparently, then they just won the last 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Straight.
Yeah. And
5 rounds straight.
I feel that
impressive.
shows that a lot. Like, I'll admit, when I coming into season 3, I had Rise at like a 5th place team. I was like, they have some really good players. They have a decent amount of, they have a good amount of knowledge of the game, but they don't have an it factor. I was proven wrong, I think, week 3. And then definitely this week 4, I think Argo went 23-5, which is.
I wanted to ask you about Argo's skill score KD, because this match was pretty impressive. Like, Argo popped off so hard. I wonder, do you have a clip from that match?
I think
quickly.
Like, Argo had an ace there, then he had this brace quickscope mop clutch moment.
He did some nasty stuff, but I do want to bring it back to the 23-5.
Oh, the 23-5.
Donut, what is your kill bounty for DPL?
My kill. Okay, I have a kill bounty. For those who don't know, so I have a kill bounty of 30 kills. If you can get 30 kills in a single match, you get $50 from me, no matter what.
Ooh.
Like, it can be Applebee's, Steam,
would probably be easier to match that goes to 3 games, right?
No, 30 kills in a single game. In one game.
It used to be 25. He was starting to sweat. It used to be 25. So you've changed it.
Okay, if it was, I must forget. Then I'll lower it back down to 25. 25. If you can get 25 kills in a single game of DPL, you'll get $50 from me. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Comms is asking, it's for DPL only. Yes, it is.
Yes,
Comms,
it is. It is Comms.
You can't win it. And let's be real, you couldn't win it anyway. Comms, so.
Wow, shots fired. Shots fired. Anyway, roll that clip. Which clip do you have? Is that the ace?
I don't have. I have the ace, but I do have the clip from the Stars. And if you didn't watch the game, it was a very good game from both teams. It really was. And if we kind of just watch this clip kind of play out, no audio. Sorry, Reviv.
Notice the clutch. Yeah.
But Stars kind of just played out of his mind in this clip. You see that Fierce has the ability to play well. And, I mean, he gets 2 right there. He sees the guys in servers, but it does show that we have some very well players on Fierce. And I'll let the clip play out, with audio.
And he's so blind.
Going for the night vision. That's a top tier casual play. Every casual player I play with wants to grab the lights at some point.
But Argo already picked it up.
I mean, they're pretty strong.
Oh, they are strong. The Dark is
very strong.
Take down Argo.
I will say that's become an official term. Bard uses
it has.
Stream. I make the meta.
And there it is.
And there we go. It's the 1v4 clutch. Winning Fierce the round here.
And
wasn't enough quite. I like the happy dance.
Oh, most definitely. And
Yeah, the Nectar, man.
yeah, and that, like it's a very I think that Fierce played well, and that shows that Fierce has played well. But I mean, let's say it kind of just shows, and we do have more clips, and I kind of want to jump into that. You know, if we talk about
Sure. Yeah.
continuing talking about the Fierce
This is
play,
from
this is from week 3.
this is from the week before, though.
Yeah,
right?
this is from week 3. We had before I start this, we don't have a lot of aces in DPL. Last season we had like 3-4 aces in DPL. We've already
But
had
I will say,
4 this season, so
yeah,
it's
the
insane.
first one was done by my teammate Fairs.
Oh,
and,
yeah, we'll get
I
to
think
that.
That set the domino effect because
Mhm.
after Fairs, then I believe Josh got one, and then now we've had Stars Ace, Feral Ace, and then a few other aces if I remember correctly.
Argo,
Ace
yeah, the
Argo
Argo
Ace,
Ace,
yeah.
and we don't have the clip from that, but
After the shutter play, it was pretty
Yeah.
funny, actually.
but it definitely shows that like we have all these players kind of coming out mid-season, and I'll let the KR clip from Feral kind of just show, you know, how dominant like
They're on me.
these
I'm
players
blind,
can play.
I'm blind. Last 2 are in.
Yeah, it was a pretty impressive.
It
pace
was,
as well.
especially, and he already has 3 right here, so
Yeah.
Man's big brain only brace firing.
One right back
Only
to the
brace.
castle.
Jerry Cog.
That brace KR is
And there he goes,
scary,
you know.
especially the last kill. I think the last kill
God.
is really impressive.
mhm, yeah.
Yeah, I was playing with Revenant the other day, and I believe it was Revenant who said this, and it's very wise words about the KR. Is you either learn how to use it ADS or brace.
Oh, mhm.
And because it's not transferable at all. Like the two don't make sense together, and so you learn one and you stick with it, and that's your thing for every range. That's it.
Mhm.
And as we can see, it works. Feral putting in the work.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
you talked
Definitely
about
knows
the
how to handle that brace fire.
you know, like you talked about the aces, and I mean going
More
kind of
aces.
into it, we
You have
have
all the
more
aces
aces.
clips,
We
I
have
see.
only aces clips, you know. And
It's
this
week
is
3 as well,
Yeah,
though,
this
right?
is all week
Correct.
3, and so we had 2 aces week 3, which is very impressive. It took 5 weeks to get to that, and
And another one in Rivals.
in
didn't we?
Rivals, yeah, and we'll definitely show that. But kind of looking at this, and let me turn it down a little bit. And here's Zombie. Oh, it's kind of lagging out a little bit, but there we go. It's slowly working.
Yeah, don't mind Donuts Dollar Store Internet. But,
Dollar store internet. Texas has done so well for this. I love it.
Just hold that, you're good.
Just putting this out here. If you want to have your clips featured on the next podcast, I recommend putting them in the DPL clips channel.
Oh yeah, that's
So that makes it really easy for us to find them.
mhm.
Yeah, that is where we find them. And don't be afraid to message Pine about your clips and memes. He definitely loves seeing that
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Send me all the no.
Just send pie on.
Everything to Pine.
Send everything to me.
Yeah.
If you have any hot takes, be sure to send them to me because I'll just yell them at Donut.
Oh my gosh, I'll get so many DMs from random people being like, "Here's this, here's that," and I love it. I love it all. Let's kind of be quiet as Fairs try to take this
Nighttime.
nighttime.
But he doesn't.
And there he
have any
goes.
case,
He
which
doesn't
makes it
matter.
even more impressive,
Yeah.
really.
So
Just-
That was nuts.
it
That was-
really
that was
was.
definitely
It really was, and we can kind of
Yeah.
go into the mop base, and I think this also transitions just into rivals. You know, so after this
That's
we
the
can
kind
talk.
of clip, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is but
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
let's
still
talk
week
about Rivals
3.
after this. So this is from Rivals week 3.
Mm-hmm.
If you're wondering, we planned to originally have the podcast last week, so some of the clips are from last week. But we also have a few current ones.
Well, we have to. We're gonna have to talk about the Fierce Rise game because there were some amazing clips from there.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Yeah, but
real
this was
quick,
a
Fish
really
with a
clean
not so
ace,
hot
actually.
take.
Like, watch this. This
Yeah.
is a really, really clean ace with the mob.
Yeah, it's really clean. Kino's good, but I just want to throw it out. Fishy with a not so hot take that Addix is bad. So, well, I don't know what to tell you, Daxi. I think you need to play more Beat Saber.
Oh my gosh, that's
Does it
hilarious.
help?
It
New
helps with
Beat
the
Saber
helps with the
improves aim.
endurance, you know. Playing Beat Saber for 3 hours a
Yeah,
day.
with the endurance.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can see
that and him spending all his time in VR chat, which I know what a Daxi does in VR chat. You just have to take one look at him and you know exactly what he's
Oh,
doing in VR
Bina.
chat.
Oh, that's great. But going into it, I mean, Rivals. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Rivals. Calm has
Yeah,
been asking it forever in chat, but I think it's kind
I
of
saw that.
unsurprising where the Rivals stands. Like Project Neo, 16
Yeah.
points. They have won every single game they've touched.
Well,
It's
I'm not gonna lie, I don't pay much attention to rivals outside of two teams: Vultures, who I think have the possibility to be very good, and then Neo, who is just insane.
dominating.
Also, really nice guys over at Neo. Not gonna lie, very chill.
Billboard's
I think for
amazing.
me, right, the rival standings right now are fairly like a little bit surprising, at least. I mean, it was to be expected to have Neo at the top. They're just really, really strong.
Yeah,
right now. And I'm pretty confident we'll see them in DPL season 4.
Yeah, and let's run it down.
The other teams are really close to each other. Like Kitura, Frisky, TFK, VTS, and even Pogfish has 8 points. Like there's and you have to keep in mind, Rivals we played in 9 weeks, so they're only 4 weeks in. They still have 5 weeks to play. Like a lot can happen there.
Yeah.
I mean, even like new teams joining right now still have a chance at making top 6, which would put them in the promotion tournament. So there's a lot that could still happen.
Yeah, and Fishy's asking me about Pogfish, and the reason I don't pay attention to Pogfish is because originally I thought they were a meme team, and I'm still not entirely convinced that they're not.
Yeah,
I mean, the name is
I'm
a
not-
meme, so
I'm not entirely convinced that they're not a meme team.
yeah, and like if we run down the standings, you have Project Neo at number 1 with 16 points, won every single game. Kirita Merchants team with Tommy and them at 12 points. Frisky Fraggers at 11. The Fridge Knights at 11. Vultures at 10 in 5th place. Pogfish at 6 with 8 points. Red team at 7th place, only with 5 points. Come on, Red, get you boys in there. We have Team 1 Tactical with 4 points at 8th place, OBM at 3 points, CSP, Genesis, I'm pretty sure, with 2, and Grim and OG at 0. So we have these new teams like Grim, OG, Genesis, and they can definitely come on up there. But
Wait. My favorite thing about OBM, real quick.
yeah,
OBM is probably one of my favorite rivals teams for this sole reason. So as we know, we did a great purge last season of all the rivals teams, but there were tons created, even ones created for
I know you're on about.
DreamHack, and then OBM was deleted by accident, and I have to talk about them because I feel so bad that happened to them, because they had to be like, wait a minute, guys, we're still here, don't count us out yet. So they're fighting hard, they're fighting for their life.
Yeah, that's great, but I mean,
let's hope they win that fight.
top 6 makes it into the promotion tournament, and if they can, if they can go through the kind of middle teams, Pogfish, Vultures, Red, they'll definitely have a chance, and I believe in them. I'm being nice.
Yeah, but speaking of making it into promotion, do you have any more clips from this week, or do we move over? Well, because if not, then I would suggest we talk about next week.
I think
we should
don't have any clips, but
I want to see the clip from Rise and Fierce, because it'll segue into a great talking point about some of the
I don't think we have any clips from them, but we sadly no.
I've sent clips to you
You have?
earlier.
I
have. Yeah.
They're in the chat. Donut doesn't pay attention to
I don't pay
anything.
attention. No, I don't. Hashtag blame me. But
So I'll let you look for it, Donut. But real quick, I want to talk about it. And this, I'll talk to Pion as a civilized discussion real quick. So Hit Reg came out. Hit Reg.
Yeah.
Everybody's been waiting for Hit Reg, and it's finally here. I mean, God, and I feel like that was such an integral part of what came. And I just want to know, how long has that been coming to get it to a point where it's now here, Pion?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer, really. I mean, this was planned in from a long time ago. Like there's a lot of discussion back and forth. Like, what's the issue? How to fix it? How to improve it? What exactly do we do? And then eventually, a couple of weeks ago, things were set in motion. But at that point, it didn't look likely we would get it done before the sale that just started today. So Tiamat sat down and was like, okay, how do we rescope this? And scratched out the not so important parts and did an amazing job to strip this down to the integral, like the really, really important parts, and managed to pull it off and finish the whole thing in time, basically, for this sale. And thus you have it now. And we'll still have a few more points we can add on later that will improve it even further. So this was a long time coming in terms of planning and analyzing and figuring out what's going on. And then, yeah, the big part of the work was done by TMI.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, so it's still sort of still coming to, right? And that's one thing, because I've seen some feedback about it still feeling not quite where it needs to be. But is that something that'll still be coming up?
So now I'm apparently here as TH Pine, the community manager, but that's fine.
Yeah.
There's just two things to this. So first of all, there are a few more things we can improve when it comes to hit reg. And the other thing is, like, a lot of the things are like, it's also connected to performance. So we're working on a big performance update right now. And when that will get pushed out of the door, that will also help with how the guns feel and how hit reg feels. And will have like just a widespread effect on the whole game. So
yeah.
so there's
So
that.
Donut, important question here. How do you read your whiteboard? Because it does look, as Smith points out, it looks like a bunch of scribbles. Like what toddler did you have write that out for you as an intern?
It really looks like scribbles, yeah. That's,
Yeah.
I think it says week 1, week 2, week 3 or something.
It's like when you put something in the background of a movie and you hope no one will notice it. You're just like, okay, this is gonna go here. Very important business information, like a bad stock image.
So I think that my handwriting. No, you were live, but oh, my microphone.
No,
Yeah,
your mic
okay.
is apparently.
So
I think you're muted.
Yeah,
in
we're good. No, we're
OBS.
good. All right. So I kind of have this thing where it's like you kind of just have to. Oh, I'm not. Here we go. You kind of just have to like write. You just write fast. This is now turned into Donuts writing thing. And yes,
Writing workshop.
yeah. I think it's just like Smith. You know, you have Smith, and you have Daxi. You have Zombie.
TH Pine.
Oh, you want to TH Pine? Yeah. Okay. Let me get the let me erase Smith. Bye, Smith. Just like in DPL. Bye.
Oh wow.
You have TH_ Pine. You know, and you just gotta write fast. You kind of just gotta
I can't believe
do
you
all
just
that.
said that.
But like, okay, like yeah, it's great. It's great handwriting. It's great handwriting. Hi, Daffy. But it's
yeah. So
it's great. You know.
Let's move to next week.
Move to next week.
Mentions coming
Alright.
up. Can you switch scene, please?
I'm very excited about next week, actually, because there's something big that people need to think about, and that is going into next week with the new rule of coaching being clarified.
Yeah.
I think it's going to really heavily affect going into this next week, as well as.
Just to clarify, like, coaching was never not allowed. It was just not, like, officially, like, we realized that some people were doing it and others weren't, and we were fine with it happening. So we made a rule so everyone is aware, hey, you can actually do this and it's fine, and it will hopefully improve the competitiveness of the league. So that's the story behind that, really.
Yeah, and if you want to go more into it, we can go more into it about coaching. And for those who don't know, basically, as a DPL team, or even a rivals team, you can have a player who's not on your roster, first off, coach you. They can sit in the voice call. They can talk about really just like what's going on, tactics, what to do, and they can kind of just watch through you guys. They cannot be spectating. That is the one thing we don't like, because then you can cheat.
But it cannot be in the game.
It cannot be in the game.
They can watch your Discord restream or whatever, but they cannot watch as a spectator in the game itself, because that would allow them to get an unfair advantage, obviously, because you can look at them and whatnot.
Yeah, and so we did allow coaching. We think it will increase competitiveness, and we kind of just want it to be a something that will allow more people to be a part of the game. If, let's say, Comms, the Rivals coach, wants to cut his chops and coach, he can go and do that.
He
but-
coached Fierce Blue. We all know how well that went.
Fierce Blue, and and I think we also have seen coach. We've already seen a coach in game with Volps Fugoi. Zombie, kind of break it down for that.
Yeah, so we had Volps come coach us, and it honestly it worked out really well. And now it's just about refining the role that has, because I think because it is because it's a new thing. We have to keep in mind that it's still figuring out its place in the landscape in terms of comms and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not comms the player, but comms the the
Communications.
role. And so who do you listen to and things like that? Because as we know, you all have to make choices with who you listen to, whether it's the DPL podcast or the C-Store podcast or both, preferably both. But it's one of those things where you have to make choices on what to call, when to call, and how to call, and what you listen to. So I think coaches will become a big part of the micromanage that comes in when you get in the clutch
Play
situation.
motivational music. That's probably
Yeah,
coach focus,
exactly.
right?
But
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
yeah, I feel like the big thing is actually how it'll come down in terms of microing players. So basically, when you're having someone in a 1v1, feeding them information from the team and things like that. So it's not only doing that, but as well as moving and shifting into a realm of, okay, it's a 2v2, now the coach takes over. Or, okay, it's a 2v5 or whatever it is, and having the coach really take on a role of, you do this, throw your flash here, and calling those things once the team goes from the team to the team.
I see.
And I mean,
Yeah, I can see that happening.
that definitely there's a lot, and I feel that the very big specification of the coach doesn't have to be on the player roster is going to be very big, because then you can kind of have these you can still have 3 subs and kind of not have that kind of dead like sub that just doesn't play the game or isn't very active, isn't very good, but they have a very beautiful mind for the game, and so that's definitely going to be
The dead sub like a Daxi, the bench warmer.
Oh my god. Oh, Daxi. We love him.
Yeah. So,
But
well, let's talk about next week matches.
yeah, let's
now,
talk about next
eventually.
week.
We're kind
And-
of jumping topics here, but I
Yeah,
think the
match
big
to
one
watch.
coming up. The big one coming up is obviously Nemesis versus Rise, right?
Yeah, I mean, no one's gonna want to see the slaughter fest that's Goy versus LCG. So no
Ooh,
one
big
wants
words.
to watch that.
Wait, you're
No one
saying
wants-
you're saying the goose will get slaughtered?
Hey, I'm just saying, LCG doesn't even look tasty, and we're still gonna murk them. So, we're going beyond that. With 14-0, calling it. Now,
Okay.
Nemesis versus Rise is gonna get really interesting. Now, beyond that, I do want to talk about Yakuza versus Gnomes, for really one reason, because we have the European, and then Gnomes. I know it's only one player, but Gnomes is the Australian team. That's just the way it is.
Control, for those who don't know. Control the Australian.
Control, yeah. Check out his stream, great stream. But essentially, I feel like Europe's coming back for its prison island, and that's just going to be a grudge match of Europeans versus the Australian and the cohort there.
Oh, how much ping can we get in one server?
Yeah,
That's the question.
How bad and how many people are going to be playing slideshows as the Empire versus against the colonies this time? So.
But
Yeah, for sure.
that's definitely gonna be interesting. Who do you think is gonna win? That's the question. I want predictions. We can write them out. Who do you think is gonna win? Zombie.
Fierce over Rats for sure.
Okay. Why is that?
Probably, yeah.
Because
Rats, I
honestly,
think Rats surprised me this season, though. I have to say.
Rats are surprising, but I'm still holistically convinced that Fierce is a stronger team on a base level. I am not convinced personally that Rats on their best day can beat Fierce on their worst. We know Sick Gamer is a great player. I don't think Sick and Shriekle are capable of carrying in the face of Diagra and Feral.
Mhm.
I just don't think it's possible. Especially if they sub in Adaxi there, they might get a win. But I think Adaxi too. I mean, even with someone like Adex and Stars, we've seen as a great player. I don't see anything really interesting happening there outside of Fierce taking it in 2 games.
Mhm.
I'm not saying the games won't be close, but it's going to be in 2.
Yeah, I have to
Gnomes
agree with
versus
that.
Yakuza. Yakuza, I think ultimately are going to win, just because the Yakuza are ridiculously strong in terms of a team.
Mhm.
Also because ping is going to suck for everyone playing on East or Central. Like it's just going to suck realistically
Yeah.
for both teams.
It's going to be a ping fest for sure.
It's
Yeah.
going to be that, like popping around at 300. But the reason I think Yakuza are going to take it, I think they're going to take it in 3 games, possibly in overtime.
Mhm.
Actually, I think there's going to be
Interesting.
one tie, and then probably 1-1.
Yeah.
But I think Yakuza definitely take that easily.
Mhm.
My only, like, if we were on LAN, it'd be Yakuza, no doubt in my mind.
Mhm.
But because it's so hard to like calculate this because of the ping. The
Mhm.
ping is like such a variable factor. But going beyond that, Goi versus LCG, I think LCG are looking for a win.
They
And
need it.
selfishly, I don't know
you
if
know.
it's they need it. Selfishly, I don't want to say that they're gonna win just because, of course, I play
Yeah.
for Goi. So it's certainly, that's a very biased opinion.
Mhm. And
But find out next week on Dragon Ball Z if LCG can take a
yeah,
game.
and going into that game, I feel that we're going to be seeing a different Goi. We saw clips. We kind of saw scenes of that with the Nemesis 7-4 game, and I don't want to just say this because Zombie is here. Like he knows that he's a bad player. He knows that his team's in shambles, but we gotta kind of give him something. and that's really the case of that Goi, with the addition of Volps. If you don't know who Volps is a Season 1 player. He played it Season 2 as well. And back in Alpha, I think in Alpha.
IGL.
Season 2 IGL. He is a very
IGL.
good, like, IGL. He's a very great mind for the game. He knows how to manage a team well. And if you sit in a voice chat with him and he starts yelling at you because you missed your shot, you cry. And that's good because Goi need that.
You don't cry. So to put it in perspective, Volps was yelling at us after losing the Nemesis, and Donut joined our channel and just sat there and enjoyed it. So I think Donut might have some weird things going on. So don't take what he says.
Yeah,
too
Volps
literally,
is a sweetie. I love him.
Our token furry, the greatest man alive.
Yeah, but
and then Nemesis versus
Mhm.
Rise. I always regret it when I bet against Nemesis, constantly.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
it's
every
it's
time I've
Feel
been
that.
like, this is not gonna happen. I have had my expectations shattered and my channel points ripped from my hands.
And I mean that, like, I doubted Rise in the Fierce game. I did, because I thought they were a good team, but they wouldn't beat the fact that they wouldn't beat Feral and Dagray. And I think that with Rise kind of showing that Digital Doctor Hyper, Argo is going insane, and then just the consistency of Ty, Sam, that I think that we have a very good match in our hands. But it really does.
Yeah,
I think it's one of those things where it's like,
Second.
if you were to tier these teams, Nemesis would be S rank, Nemesis would be S and all that.
Rise
but-
is a solid.
But
A,
Rise is a
possible.
solid A. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're the most
Like, no doubt in
1.5
my mind,
tier team we can have besides Yakuza. Like Nemesis is tier 1, 100%. Like I think no one can stop that. And we also should throw in Project Neo. Project Neo, we've rival team though, is probably like a tier 1 team. They are very, very good.
Yeah.
But going down point to 1, you have Rise, you have Yakuza. These very good teams with very good players like Voxel, Ghetto on Yakuza, Argo, a Digital Doctor, Hyper on the side of Rise. And I feel that this game is really going to show the Kingmaker. It's going to be the Kingmaker game because
Yeah, it's gonna be that. Yeah.
if I don't expect Rise to win, but if Rise can get like 7-5, 6-6, I think that in like a decent amount of games and make the games close, that's going to show because that means they're improving. And if they continue that improvement going in to the finals into playoffs, we might see them dare I say, take it over Nemesis in playoffs, but that's a big ask, you know.
Possibly.
I do say that
I
Nemesis is
think
going to win
also-
this game. Hell, I think that Nemesis is probably going to win everything. But it's going to be a very interesting match. Not in the case of who wins, but how close it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
if anyone has a good chance to take it over on Nemesis, it is definitely Rise. And
Or
I have a
Yakuza,
hard time.
maybe.
I have. Well, Yakuza we already see. We thought Yakuza.
Yeah, but
Yakuza
maybe
got
in the finals.
absolutely
Like if they
Oh, in
improve
the fi-
further, I think
True.
they have a chance in the
They
finals.
definitely have a chance, but I think looking at it as it stands right now, Nemesis is the safe bet.
Mm-hmm.
Nemesis always has been the safe bet.
Sure.
And I think it's something I talked about last week when I think I was watching Yakuza versus Rats, or I believe I was casting it actually. I talked about it all the time. It's like my heart wants to say Rise can take a game.
Mm-hmm.
I think if
Your
Rise could
brain
take a
says
game,
no.
they could take the match. But my everything else tells me no. I mean, it's also hard because I really like I know people have this vision of Nemesis, but like I really like everyone over there.
Yeah,
Like
Josh
honestly,
is
everyone on
amazing.
that team.
I love Josh.
Josh is the fucking homie, and like even like Carter and
Death
Maze
for those. Yeah.
and Death and Six Sided and even Brand One. Like I just like him.
Even Brand
You know, Brand One. I like him. I think he's funny as fuck. You know, like I don't know, like that's the thing is it's hard because
Mhm.
I like them so much. And I think also we have to keep in mind who like Smith did such a great job assembling that team. He actually almost did too good of a job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a fair
for those
assessment, I'd
for
say,
those who don't know, there was a very big like worry when we saw Nemesis pick up Josh and Six Sided that behind the scenes that were like, what do we do? We can't no team is beating this team. The season is done. Like, give them the money now. When we saw that team, and when you go into team info, and you saw the full 8 people, it was like they had the same 5 from last week. They picked up Brand One, who was very good and very consistent. It was pretty good on BTG. Then you saw Six Sided, probably the second best sniper in the league at that point. Also one of the best player on SPG. Carried them to make sure they didn't lose to Rats. Then you pick up
and
Josh,
Roadrunner
one of the best players
yeah.
ever. It's
Yeah,
insane.
and then you also throw in Roadrunner in there, who's also like an amazing dude and one of the strongest, if not the strongest entry in the fucking game.
Mhm.
It's ridiculous to me that I just want to say that Rise, I am cheering for you. I really am. But I'm not gonna bet my channel points on you.
Oh no! I got after Rise completely took them away in the Fierce matchup, and after Goei took away my 70,000 channel points in the Gnomes matchup. I'm gonna play it safe, and I'm gonna have to vote Nemesis on this. I love Rise, I love you guys, but I have to give it to
think
Nemesis.
if anyone wants to bet on Rise this weekend, they get really good odds.
Oh my gosh! Have you seen some of those some of those bets, like 800,000 channel points? It's impressive. It really is.
It's nuts.
It really
And,
is. I think we've sung Nemesis praise enough,
Mhm.
and Rise, do everyone a favor, guys, and beat them.
We need
Well,
it.
Don't switch away
there-
from that scene quite
Oh,
yet.
there was also a
You don't wanna switch
new rule actually instated that I want to talk about. The shooting truck rule. You can no longer shoot into trucks. so
Can we
don't do
talk?
it.
Wait. Before we do
Uh-huh.
that, we can do that in a moment.
Okay,
Before we do that, there's still there's more stuff going on that weekend.
there is.
There's also rivals.
Oh,
Oh, Rivals. Yeah, we don't have the Rivals matchup on us, but I think
No,
we.
I have them.
You
I got
have
you
them?
covered.
Okay, yeah,
I got you covered.
yeah,
It's also pretty
show
easy
us.
because for the most part it's going down the
Yeah.
list because
Mhm.
the
Oh my
Swiss
God.
tournament, right?
Project Neo's gonna win their game again?
What?
Wow.
Against Kitura.
What?
Well, maybe we'll see. Well, it's gonna be Kitura versus Neo, Frisky versus TFK,
Mhm.
VTS versus Porkfish, Red versus OBM because one tag is not signed in, and neither is CSP or Grim, I believe.
Mhm.
So Red versus OBM, and last but not least, Genesis versus OG. and that's going to be the rivals matches. And
Yeah.
as we said earlier, like this is still all of this is still important. Like even OG, if they just start popping off now and win every match, they're probably going to make top 6. So
Yeah.
have a chance.
If they
shot
can-
at DPL next season.
I'm
Which
pretty
I mean,
sure
sounds
that
unlikely they're going to win every match because
Yeah.
they're a brand new team. But I'm just saying, like, right? In theory, they could.
Mhm.
But this is
And-
still very much open.
especially I do want to talk about the Frisky versus TFK game. I think that going into rivals, you know, a lot of players was like, you know, we like Project Neo is pretty good. Vultures look like they have one or two good players with Saint Sam and Kino. Kirita have some of the old Flow goals, now Yakuza players. And so we kind of thought there was going to be like 2, maybe 3 teams that were good, and I was proven wrong. You know, Frisky showing up. Like, Doodle, what have you done with that team, man? They've been winning games. Picking up Coda, you have Fridge Knights. Man, like, I thought you guys were dead. I didn't hear anything from you guys last season. Survivor guy is my homie. I love him. But then you also have Pogfish, you know, this EU team, the kind of like mixed meme team that came together.
Strong, yeah.
And in terms of
Dogfish
rivals,
is a meme.
they look decent. Like, we can talk about, rivals look good in the context, and it's all in the context. And I'm going to be real with you. If any of these teams, bar Neo, but to go up against Nemesis, Rise, Fierce, hell, even, like, Goy, hell, even Gnomes, you know, I think they would lose. Definitely. But in the context of rivals, Frisky look good. TFK look good. Neo look insane. They look disgusting.
You know who else looks really good?
Who?
C-Store Podcast. Is
Oh.
that still a team? I don't know.
I don't think
even
they're.
know anymore.
I don't think they're a team anymore.
I think they actually
That
disbanded.
that was a pipe dream. Because I don't know anymore. Because Jamerson made it,
Let me
they
double
lost, and then also they. My favorite
they-
thing about
yeah.
that, and why everyone needs to listen to the C-Store pod, because Jamerson's pocket is hurting, because they
Yeah, they
paid
disbanded.
players. They
They
paid players
did?
to play in the Nemesis show off, and then they just lost. They paid players to get the bag, and then they didn't do anything. And so now Jamerson is having to eat ramen every night, once a day, to survive.
No.
So listen to the C-Store pod.
Yeah.
And
But-
everyone in
It's a very
chat's
sad
talking
story.
about Kit Kura and Neo playing against each other again,
Mhm.
and that's also
Yeah.
definitely a match.
I mean,
to
that's how
watch.
it goes with Swiss.
Yeah, with
right? If
Swiss,
the
you
top
know-
2 teams, then we're gonna have to face each other a few times.
Yeah, like
how it
unless
goes.
like we don't want to have Neo have a boring game, and we don't want to have to sacrifice Red Team. You know, like if we sacrifice Red Team to Project Neo, that's just sad. We love Red Commissar here, and we don't want to.
I'm absolutely fine with watching Red Commissar get ran through.
Aw.
Oh.
I'm 100% fine with it.
Yeah, but I mean, Project Neo and Kyucha game. The first time they matched up, it was pretty decisive. If I do remember so myself. Someone can probably tell me the scores in the chat, but Project Neo look like, or Kirita now, with even losing Kuko, Kirita look a bit better. They look a bit more consistent. They've been together for longer, but I have to give it to Neo. I really do. And I don't think that anyone kind of disagrees with me. The fact that we're going to see a very top-heavy rivals this season. We're going to see the people who stay on top, who are on top, kind of stay on top, due to just the fact that the teams there they've been there forever. They've been there. They have the tactics. And if I'm allowed to go on a rant for a little bit, you know, I'll do that. Is that
Let me give you the scores, and then you can go to a rant, right? Okay.
Yeah,
So the first
okay.
game between Neo and Kitura was 7-2, 7-5 in favor of Neo, obviously.
7-2?
So the second one was pretty close, but 7-2
Okay.
was kind of rough.
Yeah. So, am I allowed to go into a rant for a little bit on why I believe that we have, in my honest opinion, we have 2 good teams in this league, and I'll transition so you can see the veins popping out of my head. We have 2 good teams in this league, in my opinion. That's Nemesis and that's Neo. Why do I say that? I was like, oh, well, Yakuza good. They made you some Vox and Flowers. Yes, they good. But those 2 teams approach the game better than anyone else. We talk about how, like, you can't defend C-Store. You just save on it. You know who invented that? Nemesis, like Meizu did, but Nemesis, they popularized it. They made it work, and then they won finals. You have these teams that, like, and I'm not going to put anyone on blast. I don't want to do that.
You proceed to put the entire league on blast.
I'm gonna put the but like, I don't want to put any individual players on blast. But you have these teams approaching the game in a very different way, and that's good. But you can't do that. You can't approach the game in a way where you think it's innovative or different or whatever, because you're going to just get smashed by Neo or you're going to get smashed by Nemesis. They're so aggressive. They hit their shots well. They know to place flashes. They can defend really well, you know. I actually know the numbers for Nemesis exactly, and Nemesis have a very good defense rate. They have above 50%, and you have these things where it's like, oh, we can use this strategy, or we can just hope we get double attack or double defense, but you can't do that. You have to have the innovation that Neo bring of like using a wall charge to open up a site, or to open up a sight line on observation and dome. They did that to me one time in a casual. I was baffled. I've never seen that before, you know? And you have to have that innovation. You have to have that aggressiveness and that knowledge of the game that both these teams have. And if you were to play against any of them scrims, all the players who've played both these teams in scrims know, they understand that they are going to get completely they are going to mostly likely get crushed. You know, Argo said in chat that, oh, those Neo scrims haven't been going well because both those teams approach the game in a different way. They're good at the game first off, and they have the mindset kind of just to play like that, and they succeed. And I think until this league gets beat down by both of these teams and understands that you can't beat them with how they're playing, like, we're not going to see a lot of change. And I think that as much as I hate seeing a king on top and I want to see a underdog win, I think it's needed, you know? But I do want to see maybe Rise beat like Nemesis and prove me wrong, dude. Like, all the people who play for Rise in chat, prove me wrong that you can beat Nemesis and that you can change it. Because right now, I have the honest belief that those two teams are the teams that like people have to care about, and they have to change their game plan and how they play the game about, you know? Because if they don't, they're gonna get crushed. So ran over, but
building off that point, we have two teams. We have the most coordinated team, which is Nemesis, and the most creative team, which is Neo. And that's it. And then you have the best beam team, which is Goy. So I think anything else to move on from that, or
I mean, not really.
Yeah. Oh, not.
You know,
We can have more general discussion stuff.
Yeah, and I think
we go into
we
our
can
last segment.
kind of go into general discussion and kind of switching. Switching around. Like, if we look at it, we can look at
what we regularly want to talk about.
I think we want to.
You go ahead.
We talked about the coaching role. Yeah, we really talked about the coaching role. We talked about how, you have hit reg and all that stuff. You talked about shooting truck and how I don't think he's here, but and I'm going to call that out.
We didn't talk about that.
Yeah,
yet.
so.
That's the thing.
But Pion, enlighten us on the shooting truck thing.
Okay, so we have to go step back for that. So, well, 2 weeks ago, there was a certain someone, I'm looking at you, Tetra, who was killing people on the dome all the freaking time. And thus, Gak went ahead. Well, we considered, DPL staff considered putting a rule against that in because it was so annoying. But Gak went ahead and pushed out a quick hotfix that made it not impossible, but way harder. Basically, you can shoot through, or the UAV turrets can now shoot through the ramps and see through the ramps. So the ramps do not block your line of sight, or do not block the line of sight of the turrets, I should say, which made the whole thing way harder. So DPL staff decided to not actually put a rule against that in because it's way harder now. It's you hear it coming because you hear the door and whatnot, etc. It's not as bad anymore. But there's still a few weird spots where you can shoot at the truck. Like, we're fine with people being under the dome and fighting there because there the attackers have a fighting chance, right? What we don't want is someone shooting into the truck, because right now you cannot shoot back because your gun is disabled until you jump out. So having someone being able to shoot into the truck is problematic. We had a rule in the past that was preventing that because we didn't want to have the runouts and stuff, but then the truck gun got added.
Oh, thank God.
We removed that rule, and now we're probably gonna revive it because the truck gun is just not fast enough and deadly enough, and there's still a few situations where people can shoot in the truck, and we don't want that. So Not sure if that rule will be in before Saturday. I actually have to. We should have actually checked because it would be nice to have it in. But it's definitely coming back. So stop shooting at the track, guys.
Especially in casuals, you're hurting the little feelings.
Yeah, especially in casuals.
Make them learn the
Like-
hard way, like I had to. Damn it. Make them
You
suffer.
don't make them learn. You make them Alt F4 and uninstall and refund the game.
Oh, they'll be fine. But
Please stop.
I mean,
Please stop.
if we want like bringing up Tetra, I think we kind of want to let's talk about some. I think a good kind of thing to kind of change it before we get into zombies fancy analysis for a short bit is
Spoilers ahead.
Surprise.
is the
Damn it, Dylan.
the players. I mean, I think we want like if we kind of want to talk about the players, you know, and people are talking about that in chat or whatever, but who do you think like in your in the week this can be fast, this can be short, you know, who do you think really is someone to watch out for, whether that be a new free agent, whether that be a player on a team, a player on your team, kind of this is kind of shout out time, you know. Who are the players that you guys want to talk about?
Shout out time.
I mean, I'm still. I mean, it's someone who's fairly prominent already, but it wasn't so much so prominent yet. But who really surprised me was Argo this weekend. It was just that guy was just cracked in the match. That was versus Fierce. That was just crazy. That was what did you say? What was his KD?
I think 23 and 5. Yeah, something
in
around
one
that.
game?
In one game.
It's insane. Like,
Alright.
he single-handedly won them the match. Really, it's not like the rest of his team didn't play good, but they didn't have to. it was nuts.
All right, I have a special guest for this actually. So we have Jeff. We have Jeff here. Jeff is a big fan of DPL, and Jeff has some opinions that I'm going to translate. To you. So Jeff, of course, the question is, who's your favorite character? Who's your favorite player?
Oh my god.
Jeff, of course, has the correct answer, which is Macius and Voxel, the sexiest duo ever of DPL on any team ever on Yakuza. The Polish duo, they run Polish 10-mans, A+ community men. Who else do you want me to talk about? Okay. So another person he wants me to talk about is Carter. I know Carter whiffs a lot of saber shots, but Carter, still my favorite sniper, A+. Also, any other thoughts? All right, Donut, he says your stats suck and you need to get good.
I know, I
Anything
do.
else?
I'm garbage.
He's saying that Comms is washed and should leave his final mark on the channel again. Before leaving for
That's
the,
enough, Jeff.
third time.
Comes loud.
But
And, thank you, Jeff. I agree with everything you just said, outside of the fact that Josh is my favorite player. So let
yeah,
me put Jeff
and
back here.
I think you kind of stole it
Well,
out. Is
I'll
that?
let Jeff go. Yeah. Go
Jeff,
ahead.
Jeff's gonna chill for a little
Jeff,
bit.
we'll
Jeff's
come back. We need Jeff back.
Yeah,
No, Jeff will make regular appearances, but I think he said some not so nice things.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean,
That's fair.
like, and kind of to end it out with my thoughts is that I really do want to see a lot from Satrums. You know, Satrums moved to Goei, Satrums, and I believe that Satrums kind of like if for those who don't know, he played on Red Team. He was on Gnomes for like 2 weeks. You know. And he is like the shotgun rat. He made that style. He popularized it. He is the best at that style. Why do you like have all these plays running at you with shotguns? Because Satrums decided to like pick up the shotgun first and kill everyone with it, you know? And so I am very I want to see Satrums kind of shine again. And I don't think he has been shining again that much. I think he kind of lost his luster. But I love him. I think he can come back. I think he can come back even stronger. And definitely with like his mindset, Satrums can come back and make Goei a very powerful team. So
Yeah, we're learning how to utilize the dog. We had to put the dog on a little bit of a leash because we were watching some VODs with Revenant and Josh, and anytime we were watching from Satram's perspective, we could literally see everything.
Mm-hmm.
Every door he would look at, you would see him. He'd get down there and he'd just twitch. He'd look at you and he'd look at the door and he'd be like, "You need to open it. I have to open it." And that's exactly
Yeah.
everything that he wants to do. So, and the problem is, I think as a team, we're not that fast, and
Mhm.
we are trying to.
He's saying
We're
he's too
not
fast for
sure.
you.
He's a little too fast for us. Yeah, he's zooming, and I mean like warp speed. So I think we need to reconcile as a team, and I think part of that too is also just like coordination as well.
Mhm.
About how fast we want to go. If we want to be like F1 driver fast, or like NASCAR fast, or like old granny going to the store fast. You know.
Mhm.
I see. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And-
Then let's move on to our last segment. Or do we have anything else, Donut?
I
For that?
don't think we do. You know.
Okay.
It's.
You was about to say something. That's
Oh
why.
yeah. I mean. I think it's. We have a lot of these good players. You know that we
Thinking
can't.
about it.
We can't really shine up upon all of them, but. As much as we are kind of doom and gloom, like, oh, there's one good team, you know, there's two good teams, whatever. Especially me. I'm very excited to see where a lot of these players go, and I think we're definitely going to see a lot of change, a lot of growth, and so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right.
for sure. It's yeah, I think you're right there. Like there's still
Mhm.
a lot of people like the game is still like it's been around for a while in alpha and whatnot, but the game is still young and the competitive scene is still young. And like there's still a lot of change we see and a lot of potential for new people showing up or people like I like for example, as I just mentioned Argo, right? I wasn't super aware of how strong Argo is. That was not really a name that came to my mind until I saw him this season. And I think we always like we will this will continue to happen. We will see more people coming up that are either completely new to the scene or just took a break or whatever, or suddenly start becoming really strong, and that will also translate to their teams obviously. So I think there's still a lot of flexibility coming up in the rest of this season and obviously as well, or even more so for future seasons. So we will see how this all plays out, but it's definitely a lot of people in this league or in this community that still have a lot of potential and are very strong. So are we good to go to move to our last section?
To the
Almost. Okay.
yeah,
All right.
almost.
Because our last segment, I think Jeff will actually make a return for this. Correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong, Zombie.
Jeff will probably make a return.
Okay, because the last segment is our analyst desk for this week, and Zombie and Jeff will analyze around from Nemesis, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, from Nemesis. Begin. This isn't because it was Nemesis destroying Goy, but it's because they destroyed Goy. I was I felt so bad about doing this because I was like, man, I like the Fierce versus Rise game really came down to Argo just being like super cracked, and this was one the map that hopefully we're gonna look at as Donut figures out how to work OBS because he's a grandpa. Um,
Youngest
You're learning.
grandparent on the earth.
Well, he likes Hawaiian shirts and everything. So I'm trying to yeah, but it's good. I feel bad because I'll bring Jeff back for a second. 'Cause so Jeff here, Jeff was living under my desk here for quite a while, and I think he kind of got upset about it.
Free Jeff.
Yeah. So anyone have questions for Jeff? He can definitely answer them. Pion, what have you ever wanted to ask Jeff? Like what do you want to ask?
I mean it's a big moment.
on.
I'm kind of
Like
lost for
like
words
Jeff
right now. Like
Jeff is just here for you right now, and he
I'm
wants
allowed
to
to
know.
talk just for me. That's
Yeah.
too much. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jeff, how do zombies' feet smell?
Fucking glorious. Thank you.
Great.
Yep.
Oh my
That's what I
gosh.
expected.
a-
I'd expect
anyone-
nothing less from
yeah.
Zombie.
Anyone who wants feet pics, hit up my OnlyFans.
Oh my god.
God.
No. We're not getting into that one.
Hashtag OnlyHandZombie. So
So Jeff, does Zombie wear like actual pants, or is he just wearing shorts or naked?
wouldn't you like to know, Pion? I know you Germans are into some.
I would like to know. I don't want to see.
So
I think-
I'm actually in shorts right now if we're ready to go before Pion continues the weird line. of
Yeah, I
questioning.
think we're almost ready to go. Zombies, you need to share your share
You
your,
asked for it.
you
It's
need
not
to,
my fault.
Zombie, you need to share your fancy little OBS scene.
Put
So,
Jeff down. Jeff's
you-
not so good at the analyst. He has great hot takes, like
Okay.
Fogel being cute and Dot being an Italian, which means he's. We figured out actually. I was doing some investigative reporting with Jeff. So where Dot Zera gets his skill from is actually being dunked into a tube of olive oil like an Evangelion pilot, and that's what happened to him, and that's where he got all of his FPS skill.
That
So-
sounds reasonable.
Yeah, Pion, I forgot you're a little too boomer for Evangelion.
No, I never watched it, but I'm not too boomer for it. Like,
Uh-huh.
I didn't watch it, but it's not because I'm too old. Also, I'm not a boomer.
It's because you're too old, Pion. It's all right. Now,
I'm not that old.
As we slowly
All right.
figure
Seems like we
this,
still have technical
Yeah, we
difficulties.
yeah,
I'm
so
great at this.
Let me know if I can help you, Doughnut.
continual difficulties here.
No, but
Like, I'm a little bit disappointed chat doesn't have any questions for Jeff.
Yeah, chat wasn't asking. Everyone's just freaking out over how glorious Jeff is. So, if you want to send in questions to Jeff, be sure to DM me. I'll talk about them on the next podcast. Actually,
Speaking of, next podcast. This will be weekly, obviously. That makes
Hopefully.
sense, right? We'll have we'll have rotating hosts potentially, so you will not always see the same three boring faces over here. As we see right now.
Yo,
But we'll see.
boring.
Beautiful. Did I say beautiful? Boring,
There we
beautiful,
go.
same, but so similar, right? It's not my native language. Like,
it's the language
I'm
barrier.
sorry,
isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. However, probably we're probably gonna do Wednesday for the future, and not Thursday. But Wednesday didn't work out
Yeah,
this week.
I
so-
apologize. I was flying home on Wednesday, so we couldn't actually do anything on Wednesday.
yeah, so probably Wednesday in the future, a little bit earlier as well. But we'll announce that ahead of time for the second episode. So look out for that. And yeah, if you're interested in like helping out making this podcast, like hosting it or being a guest maybe or something like that, please send us a message or talk to us directly or send us a message to help desk. As I said earlier, if you want to see your clips featured in this podcast, then the best way is to just put them in a DPL clip channel. We will look at that channel and grab clips from there and also from the official stream. But it's easier if you clip them and put them there, but especially if you have first person from your own recording or whatever, that would be very beneficial. And yeah.
Oh, bye.
So that actually is a good segue because it seems like we're gonna end the podcast with this.
Ending
Doughnut is
it.
death
It's
today.
been going
We're
for
very sad.
80 minutes.
Big,
Oh my god.
very
Big
sad.
Band-Aid. We've been going on for a long time. Thank you, chat, for sticking around. I know we lost some of you in the middle. I love all the Josh copy pastas. Keep them coming. Those are my favorite memes. I am Zombie Bacon. I am here with th_Pion and the illustrious Mr.Doughnut, who is taking so long to do your stats
Mr.
because there's a
Whiteboard.
big hole in his face. And he's learning also how to actually write on his whiteboard, so it doesn't look like chicken
Okay,
scratch.
I can write. You guys just don't
And
read.
thank you very much for listening. That's all.
Thank you.
Tune in next week.
Tune in.
Bye.